What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. This is Bill Allen, and I think this is my first in-person podcast on Seven Figure Flipping Podcast ever. I have done, 500 episodes on here probably in the last 6 or 7 years, but this is my first in-person. We're at the Seven Figure Runway event. Really exciting. We have some amazing investors here, and we decided to set up an in-person studio. I know Adam's been doing some episodes. I think Lindsay might have done a couple, the other Lindsay. And then here we go. So I'm here with Lindsay Frederiksen.
That's right.
And you have a hyphenated name, so I want to make sure I get it right. I just had a really good time getting to know you and the other members, obviously, over these past few days. You've been in some of the trainings with us and the 5-day challenge and stuff. And I know we've talked virtually with some Q&A before, but getting to know you here was really great. You just did a hot seat. We just came out of that and they're still in session right now. But one of the things that you talked about hit me kind of hard. It was like a lifestyle that you wanted to change, like your entire life, the structure of your job, your work, all that stuff, and wanting to change that. So maybe you can give a quick introduction about yourself and then we can go into that.
Happy to. And thanks for having me. This is cool. First time podcaster.
First time on a podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm writing a podcast. I want to launch a podcast myself, but I haven't done it yet. So This is good practice. I'm Midwest raised, come from a huge family, second youngest of 7. I had an interesting childhood, like a lot of people, where ultimately designed my adult life with some pretty big dreams and pretty big goals in an effort to do things differently in the second half. Became a mom at a really young age and kind of went all in my career, got my accounting degree, and then realized that I wasn't going to probably become super wealthy as a CPA. So I joined the tech world and moved into sales pretty quickly. And from there,
what does that mean? Tech world sales?
Sure.
What's the tech world?
Sure. So with my accounting background, I found an organization in the Midwest that developed and sold financial and accounting software, governance, risk, and compliance, and eventually sustainability software for large corporate companies, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Walmart, you name it, publicly traded companies in the US that need to report on their financials to the SEC, as an example. And so I ran sales teams, eventually internationally in Europe, that basically just targeted these large companies who are dealing with preparing their financial statements and other disclosure requirements that are just a total pain for companies, collecting all of that data and then having to report on it for regulators and investors. And so nothing that I was overly passionate about, but at the same time really believed in what I was doing because I was solving a problem for these companies. So I never thought I would join sales, but the only reason I did was I believed in the product. I knew that it would help moms and dads actually get to go home to their kids early. This was pre-COVID when they were physically in offices doing all of this work and they might miss their kids' games because they're coming up on year end and they need to close the books and then they got to pull their financial statements together and whatnot. Eventually that all changed, of course, when everyone was doing things remotely, but we gave a lot of people time back and a lot of freedom. And so I believed in that, and that made selling so much easier. You focus on the problem that you're solving and go out and provide solutions. It's like you don't feel like you're selling anymore. So I had a lot of success in that. But that meant I was on the road a lot. I was gone a lot. So
What's that? What is a lot?
Well, eventually we made the decision to relocate to London from Iowa. And I went on my own at first. So I was living in London, kind of getting everything settled, flying back home every 4 weeks. And then eventually my husband and daughter moved over. But then I was probably on a flight 3 times a week, even day trips. I'd fly from London to Dublin or London to Amsterdam or London to wherever for the day or for 2 days. Every week I filled up 3 passports traveling. Mm-hmm. And when we moved back to the US, it was less travel, but still once a quarter I'd be gone for 2 weeks, flying back to Europe and doing business meetings. So when we think about, or rather when you referenced my lifestyle shift, my daughter is much older now, and I was realizing how I have a very tightening window for the number of days left in her childhood, and ultimately decided to spend as much time home as I could with her, but also started to rethink this whole working hard for someone else versus getting rid of my limiting beliefs around entrepreneurship. And it was just not something that I ever imagined. I grew up like most people thinking that success is getting a good job, focusing on, maxing out your 401k and grinding till you're 65. Thankfully, I just turned 40 this year, actually just 2 months ago. And I think that was a big part of it too, kind of inching toward my 40th birthday and thinking, I don't have to keep going this way. I can rethink everything. And if you just take all of your limiting beliefs, all of the social pressures and norms that you've been taught your entire life, and you just sit back and think, what do I actually feel passionate about? What do I love? What are my interests in? And how do you monetize that? That was how I kind of came to, I kept coming back to, I should say, real estate investing. And that's how it kind of got started.
Okay. So quit this job. You had a pretty good paycheck, it sounds like, and decided on real estate. So why real estate?
Well, one clarification point. So when I left the company, we kind of came to a bit of a crossroads where they said, we really need you to move back to Europe. Like, we need you boots on the ground here in Europe. And so, and I wasn't willing to do that. And so we kind of decided to part ways because of that. So it was sort of this, it was an interesting dynamic at the time, I should say. But ultimately, sorry, re-ask the second part again, if you don't mind.
Why real estate?
Why real estate? Yeah. So I grew up in the construction world. My dad always owned various construction companies, flooring businesses in particular. And I remember being a kid on site with him, doing grout work for him, or tearing out carpet, or kicking in carpet, or whatever it was. And, when I think about smells of childhood, they were inside of a Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. And so I can't.
What does that smell like?
Honestly, it's difficult to describe. A little bit dusty.
I was there today.
Yeah.
Exactly. Home Depot this morning trying to pick something up.
Yeah, exactly. And from there, when I started to actually make my own money and focus on, really where I wanted to build my wealth and what kind of asset classes I wanted to own, real estate was just a no-brainer. It was like the one thing that I felt the most comfortable with. Nothing else, like stock market, Bitcoin, all of these other things. I just didn't feel as confident in the security of the asset class itself. And so beyond that, I got married, and my husband, my then husband, who's now my business partner, but not my husband, which we'll get to. Yeah, that's another podcast. Exactly. He also was super passionate about construction. So every house that we ever bought, whether they were primary or investment properties as a hobby for ourselves, we just always got rolled our sleeves up and would redo bathrooms and kitchens and basements and things like that together. I think there's something beyond just the forced appreciation and the monetization aspect of it, and something about what if I really go deep, what a fixed asset house can do for a family and for security, and for, if you think about memories in your life and you look back, most of them are often sitting in a kitchen. In fact, like some of our houses with the best memories were ones where we had I won't swear, the worst kitchens, the tiniest kitchens, but everyone's crowded in there. Like, I think about my huge family crowded around this tiny kitchen. And that, just combining all of it. And when you think about where do you get the most joy, and what do you want to fill the rest of your life with as far as memories and things like that, beyond just monetization and growing your net worth. Those are really important things too.
One thing that was interesting we do hot seats at the Runway event. So if you're listening, we do these events every 90 days or so, just to kind of, re-energize people. We do these hot seats. It's like a breakout room where we get in a group and people are talking about their story, their mission, their 1 year vision with where they want to go, some of their challenges and some of their biggest things that they're working on right now that's really working. One thing that I noticed you said is you grew up without a lot of money, and then you went to make a lot of money for your daughter and your family and stuff like that, to kind of give your daughter a different life than what you had. And then the realization of like, okay, I'm really like, yeah, we might have money, but I'm not home. I don't feel like I'm there. And so I have a lot of that myself. I grew up, we were like lower middle class, and my dad started his own business. I remember when I was a kid, and he was never really around. He was starting his own business, but he was like at the office, like all the time at this engineering business. And then he kind of like made it by the time I was like graduating from high school, like around the same time your daughter, same age your daughter is now. And then when I was in college, he could like be anywhere, anytime. And so I just watched him take like 10 years to do it. I was like, I'm not going to do that to my kids. I'm not going to take 10 years to do it. I'm going to do this in 1 year. And so I'm going to like accelerate it, and I'm going to make $1 million in a year and have everything we need. But what was interesting is like when you said that, I was like, how important is it the money, or how important is it like, what is the really important thing? Because like, you didn't have a lot of money as a kid, but it sounds like when I just heard this, you had all these memories around the kitchen table and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then, so like kind of what's more important? Is it money, or is it memories, or what is it? I think like looking back, like, I know my answer. I'm just curious of yours, because hearing, like, just seeing you light up when you're like talking about this big family around this little crappy kitchen. Like, do we have it wrong? Maybe, I don't know.
In the last 10 months, maybe more. If I'm really, really transparent and really honest with myself, probably 18 months, I did have that moment of, I sat back in my chair one day and thought, did I get this all wrong? I think I might have. And since then, I touched on this earlier when I was in the hot seat, when I found you, Bill, on Instagram.
Which you said I was not very big on Instagram. We're going to come back to that.
Yeah, we need to come back to that. Coming from the woman who refuses to like talk about real estate on Instagram or any social media, I think I did get it all wrong. And what I now know is that it's about both. And when I say that from the position of a mother who's thinking about, if I could go back, and who's thinking about building a life with strong foundation and wealth generating activities and giving your child experiences that you never had. And one big part that I haven't touched on yet is that I grew up in small town Iowa, where there was absolutely no diversity. And even though I was like the white girl walking around, I didn't feel like I belonged, because I just knew at an early age that for me, diversity is important, and diversity is really, really important for growth. And so when I became a mom and I'm looking around, like all of Maddie's friends look exactly like her too, I really wanted to give her sort of a different experience there. But what I missed then, and I now know, is that you can have it all and do it all if you teach and coach how to build generational wealth in a different way. And that regrets are kind of pointless in life, but reflections are powerful. And when I reflect back, I think, I wish I wouldn't have been so fearful and designed my life based on fear, and instead let myself dream first and then build a foundation of entrepreneurship and teach Maddie to do the same at an early age. Because even thinking about, I could have homeschooled her and she could have traveled with me if we would have still traveled a lot or whatever it was. And that, this is where you come in. The first piece of content I think that I watched of yours or saw or read was about Teenage Tycoon and a lot of the work that you're doing with kids. And I genuinely, again, like sat back in my chair, and it was like this kind of superhero movie moment where you're blown back and you're like, that's the biggest piece I missed, was teaching her. Was doing it slightly differently from like not devoting all my time to the corporate world, but doing it for our own, maybe building something within our family, for myself, for them, with her, and teaching her as well. But the truth is, again, like many other people, especially in the US, I was just following the script that I had been given, really. You know, we're all following this. Many of us are following this, like, go get a job, do all the things that we already talked about. And so the beauty of where I am right now is that, you know, I'm not 50, 60 years old realizing this, and Maddie is still at home for another year. Although recently I said to her, you know, you're wanting to do this whole 4-year degree. Like you want to do this path that, again, I thought, go out and get a good job and work for someone else and invest in your 401, your employer sponsored 401k. But if I can teach you how to make $500,000 a year and build some foundational wealth with a secure asset class like real estate, would you consider not doing that? And she's like, and of course I had to be really thoughtful about how I pressed on it, totally understandably, with kids and teenage kids, especially those that are independent and smart and strong. And she came back a couple of days later and she was like, thought about it. Yeah, I think about it, you know. And so I'm seeing this shift even with her, the way that now I think about money, time with my family, building wealth, doing good. You know, we haven't talked at all about in the flipping world, the reality of, I talked about solving a problem and providing a solution in the sales world I was in before with technology. It's the same thing with real estate in flipping. If you're finding sellers who are in a tough position and they need to get out of whatever it is that they're in, and you can help them, it's the same thing. And so now I'm getting to learn more about that and also have an impact and teach my daughter how to do that too. And so I think you can have it all. I don't think it should be one or the other. I think there's just, you know, would it have been better if I realized all of this years ago or 5? Definitely. But there's a reason why I didn't. And so I'm making change now.
I agree with that. I also think your daughter's watching you now. So like she's learning that, you know, you made a decision to, and hopefully you're pouring that into her and telling her why and all the things, all the realizations that you're talking about now. But I think it's easy to get it wrong. Like I challenge myself all the time. Like 2020, 2020, very difficult year for me. 2021 was, you know, a kind of coming out of some challenging times in my relationship with my spouse and some other stuff. But when I think about that, like I was home a lot. We bought the farm. We did a lot of stuff together. We were like there wasn't a lot of other things that we could do really. And then it kind of went back to traveling and going speaking at events and going to mastermind meetings and things like that. Just more. And then then like TV show, I was traveling for 3 months straight pretty much. And then and then this time when we do the next TV show, I'm like, I want to do this at my farm. Like you bring the houses here, kids come here, I stay home, I sleep in my bed. That's why one of the big reasons why I bought this building, so we could do events here and I can be home at night. And tonight when we go out to dinner together, my kids can come, my wife can come, those kind of things. So trying to just find a balance. So like, I feel like the pendulum swings like really wide on both sides, but like keeping that balance in the middle, that's the key. But I definitely think like if you're chasing the money, it's just for money. If you're chasing something else, which is like impact and growth and contribution and things like that. The other hard part that I have is with my family and my kids. Like if I put everything into my kids, I'm going to be really disappointed by the time they turn 18 because, you know, I'm not following some of the things that I want and need. So I think if you're listening to this, think about like what's pulling you internally for you. And then how then additionally can you help everybody else around you, whether it's your kids or your spouse or your family or things like that. But if you're not satisfied with what you're doing for you and the growth and contribution that you're giving to society, for growth for yourself, contribution for others, that's really like the next level thing. Once you have, you know, basic human needs met, which I mean, money just solves money problems. So like it
also creates more problems sometimes.
It does. But the thing that I love about money is it gives you options, you know, and sometimes it's the scoreboard. So a lot of really competitive people like me, they care about the scoreboard, but I've been really trying to take my eyes off the scoreboard and more to like, all right, like what's all this for? And sometimes it's for me and it's okay being for me. So I think that's one thing I'll give permission to the people that listen is like, if there's something that you want to do, go do it. Like, and if it's for you and it feels selfish, like you should be selfish in some areas to give yourself some fulfillment in your life. Because I mean, I know what the government job was like for me. If they didn't have an airplane or a helicopter for me, like I'd have been out of that Navy so fast. But I mean, they gave they gave like a kid a toy. And so I could fly and have fun. And when the flying went away, I was like, I am out of here so fast. Unfortunately, it was at year 19, because if it was at any time before that, I would have not made my 20 years. So I kudos to you. One of the reasons why I want to talk about this is because it hit me kind of hard while you were up there. There's a lot of things that I see in people that come into our community, people listen to podcasts, people that come to our events, is they're a lot of times they feel conflicted to break free from the thing that they've been doing for so long to go chase the thing that they dream to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, just like, if you can, like, you're dreaming that thing, go do it now. Mm-hmm. Like, don't wait. And you can do it while you're doing the other thing. Like we talked about in the room, you don't have to kill the corporate job right away, or whatever you're doing. It's because, that gives you, it gives you a runway. It gives you some active income to go pursue that dream. And then eventually the dream can take over the burden, I guess.
It's interesting because 100% of people who finally break through say the same thing, which is, I wish I would have done it sooner. And yet we all still take as long as we need to take to get there.
Well, that's the word. As long as we need to take. Mm-hmm. So like when I look back, I've been on a lot of these podcasts. So, and when I'm on there, the question almost everybody asks me is like, if you could do anything different, what would you do? And I'm like, dude, nothing. Like, are you serious? Like, if I did anything different, first of all, my life would look totally different right now. But second of all, like, I wasn't prepared for this. Like, God did not prepare me at that time. The way I see it is like, I see these 21-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids in here, 17-year-old kids. There's 13-year-old kid flipping a house on a TV show with me. And I'm like, I was not anywhere near mature enough when I was 13, 17, 21, 25, 30 even, to start a business. Like, I was not ready for that. I was doing all kinds of other stuff that I was not ready, and if I was ready, I don't know if I did it that time, it would just be too early, wrong decision. Everything's lined up and kind of preparing you for the next step. So looking back to say, look how far I've come, I think is great. But looking back to say, oh, I wish I did this earlier, or I wish I changed that decision. Or, you can watch game film for like maybe future decision making, but not like, oh, let me rewind the story. So don't give yourself a hard time. I think you made the right decision for when it was right for you and your family. And I bet you look back in the future and like, this was a setup for something really big. Mm-hmm. What about this event? So let me come back. Not big on Instagram. Can you define that? Like, that's really
okay.
That's hard to hear. Should I have like 1 million followers or something?
Well, it's not really about quantity. No, it is about quantity, actually. Okay, here's
how many should I have? 150,000 to what is big? Can you define big on Instagram?
Let me frame it differently than number of followers. So, wow, tech is so powerful and the algorithms are insane. I cannot open my Instagram without being like, my stuff is self-improvement, momming, food, and real estate, like those 4 things, right? And the coaching programs that are out there, like some are just, I cannot open my phone without having content actively in my face, at least 1 per minute kind of thing. Yours seemed harder to find. Like there was less of you popping up. And I honestly, when I first found you, I was like, who the heck is Bill Allen? And then I looked you up and was like, oh, okay, he's someone. He seems interesting. He doesn't have 1 million followers, but no, I don't. How many followers do you have?
I don't know.
Okay,
30 some
somebody
thousand.
Check. You should
less than 50,000.
Listen, here's what I will say. I can't answer how many you should have or what you should do differently or what your social strategy should be. But what I can say is, contrary to what we just discussed about not having regrets or wishing things from the past, I definitely wish I would have found you sooner. I think that the fit with what you are doing and what I would like to be doing is much better than some of the other influencers and coaching programs that do scream a little louder or have more of an Instagram focus. And the reason that I'm saying that is there's a lot of young money running around all over the country and all over the world, actually, for that matter, who could benefit from learning from you over some of the other companies out there, and they're not on Facebook. They're not on some of these other. They're look. Again, I hate social myself. Like the idea of getting on TikTok or doing any of this, just we already talked about it. I committed to it. I'm going to do it. But I think that I would love to see you reach more people like me and younger than me and my daughter, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's more that than the.
Well, I mean, hopefully when the TV show comes out October 1st, hopefully that that does grow our reach. I was watching Undercover Billionaire 2. So love him or hate him, Grant Cardone. He said, best known beats best. And when he said best known beats best, it hit me so hard. I wrote it down. I was watching that probably like 5 years ago, something like that. Way before I met him, way before I had ever spent time with him. I was like, best known beats best. I said, that's our problem. I spent a decade building Best, and nobody knows who we are. And so then I went to work building Best Known. And so for literally 5 years, I've been trying to do that. Now, a lot of what that is just spending a lot of money on ads, which means selling a lot of crap to get ad money back. And so
be best known.
Yeah. And so, I'm not like throwing shade at anyone specifically, but it's really, that's a challenging business to get into is really high, spending a ton of money on ads to be more well known. So the goal is like, I've put a lot of effort into it. I appreciate the fact that you think that I suck at it. I'm getting better. But it's definitely a really big importance to me because I agree. There's a lot of people that are, I don't know. They're over promising and under delivering in what they do, I would say. And our goal is, and we're also not right for everyone. Yeah. So like, I try to find the right culture, the right values, the right fit for that person. And the hard part is that it's people have their walls up big time. Like you got to break down the wall over time, Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, maybe you found me at the right time too. So
I think so. And then second part of your question, I think that was the first part. And then we went down the social rabbit hole, this event.
Yeah.
So I booked our flights like the day before, wasn't planning on coming. And I'm really glad that we did. It has been very informational, inspirational. I love that there are teenagers and kids walking around and they're not just sitting quiet because their parents made them come, but asking really great questions. And that speaks to the impact that you're having on that younger community, which honestly gives me hope for as they rise up, not just from a business perspective, but from a human perspective. And as far as the impact on my own business, sitting around the room with everyone here and the content that you've delivered and Adam and Lindsay and the rest of the team, it's really, really good. It's a good mix of strategy and more holistic kind of business challenging us to think differently and coming down a level to be really tactical. I like the actual breakout sessions where you're picking up the phone and calling investors, or we're actually doing underwriting for a deal, running comps, calling wholesalers. Like it's very relevant, and I think that helps. I looked around the room yesterday and saw a lot of people just like having these aha moments, and like that was what I needed to like go unstick that one big thing in my business. It's not all too high level and holistic, and it's good to dream and it's good to set your visionary goals and all of that. But if you don't come down a couple levels and actually execute, you're not gonna hit them. So I think it's been a really good balance.
Love it. Well, I'm glad you decided a day before to buy some tickets and come out here. It was really awesome spending time with you and doing your first podcast with you. I'm excited for you. As we kind of wrap things up, is there any last, like, what's next for you? So what are maybe give me some of your goals so that we can check back with you in the future when you come back on the show? And then how can people find you on social media, wherever you want them to find you?
Sure. What's next for us is we are expanding our real estate investing, focusing on flipping in a kind of our hyper local community out east on Long Island, and then expanding our kind of more rehab and hold and multifamily, long-term rental investments in the Midwest. And I do have some ideas for podcasts, books, a few other things. But as far as finding me, don't look for me yet, because you're just going to find my family sitting around a kitchen island talking about who knows what. But
you're about to do the 500K challenge.
I'm about to do the 500K challenge.
So if I want to watch that, where do I watch that?
I suppose you would watch that just on my Instagram page at Lindsay Fred. And I'm launching a website, nearly done with the design of it. And I think, because I am going to blame it on you and I don't have to think about it. What did you say? There's the recorder, there's the expert, and there's the
reluctant hero.
Reluctant hero.
Reporter, expert. That's all Russell Brunson. I don't think
okay. Fair enough. But you're the reporter.
For sure.
Yeah.
I am right now.
Right now. Yeah. And I'm going to be the reluctant hero and do all of the things. And I feel really confident that I think what we're doing is pretty interesting. We've got some cool stories to tell. We touched on a few of them here. That I think will resonate with others. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's next.
I'm excited for you. All right, everybody. That was fun. So it's been a while since I've done the show, and I don't think I've never hosted an in-person podcast. I don't think. I've been on quite a few, but it's always easier to be interviewed in in-person one than it is to do the interview. All right. If you want to find out more about what it's like at Seven Figure Flipping, whether you're a full-time flipper and wholesaler, landlord, short-term rental, whatever it is, or you want to raise capital or any of that stuff, you can go to sevenfigureflipping.com, or you can respond if you're on our email list and you get this email. Just respond, set up a call with somebody from my team, and check it out. We're at the Runway event, so the number sevenfigurerunway.com is a place that you can go to fill out an application and check out this group. So, Lindsay, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I'll see everyone on the next show. Bye.